this. That's not going to happen in Washington State.
Strong words from Governor Bob Ferguson following another deadly ICE shooting in Minnesota. The legal action he is threatening tonight.
Temperatures continue to climb as clouds take over. We're talking rain and mountain snow later this week.
Plus, the Seahawks are Super Bowl bound for the first time in 10 years. Tonight, the latest on the search for tickets. Good evening, and thank you for joining us for KREM 2 News at 5 tonight. I'm Mark Hanrahan. Tonight, the east side of the U.S. dealing with the aftermath of an historic storm that swept across the eastern two-thirds of the country this weekend. More than 84 million Americans are under extreme cold warnings from Texas to Pennsylvania. The historic storm left more than 1 million people without power, caused hundreds of car crashes, and canceled thousands of flights. The brutal conditions caused stretches of the interstates across the country to close, as many states experience a season's worth of snow in just a few days. The governor of Oklahoma says some areas of his state have been slammed with 11 inches of snow so far.
We got more in a 24-hour period than we've ever had in the last, I think, like 40 years.
In other parts of the country, it's the ice and bitter cold causing serious concerns. A water main break near a highway outside of Charlotte, North Carolina, encased power lines and streets in ice. Thousands of schools across the country remain empty today. Officials urging residents to stay home and off the roads, as many states do not have the equipment to clear the snow from the streets. Well, today the main brunt of the storm has passed by, but tonight millions of Americans will still be feeling sub-zero wind chills in the wake of the storm. In the meantime, let's talk weather here in the inland Northwest with Chief Meteorologist Jeremy Lagoud joining us in the Outdoor Weather Center. Jeremy, not much snow, but certainly chilly this morning.
Thankfully, not as cold as some parts of the country where they were more than 20 degrees below zero. For us, not bad. 30 degrees where we currently sit, but waking up to lows in the teens these past few days, that was kind of brutal at times, especially when we just haven't done it thus far. A little bit of snow coming down over Snoqualmie Pass seems to be about the extent of it right now. I think overnight we'll just watch the clouds break slightly, but they return tomorrow and then just kind of stick around. We're going to call tomorrow mostly cloudy. Wednesday starts with an early day round of potential freezing rain and light rain. It's a narrow window early in the morning where I think that's possible, and then everything moves up into the mountains before more widespread valley rain and mountain snow take over later in the day. The next few days are interesting to me. Tomorrow, 37, it winds up mostly cloudy, so today, but a little bit warmer. 38 with a few light showers on Wednesday, likely coming down as a bit of a freezing mix in the morning, rain at night, and that takes us into a warm and rainy Thursday.
Sounds good, Jeremy. Thank you very much. On Friday, we learned about a 10-year-old Logan Elementary School student and her father who were detained by Border Patrol earlier this month. They are currently being held in a Texas detention facility. According to a volunteer group in Texas, her father had an active asylum case taking all the necessary steps to stay in the U.S. and had a court hearing scheduled in 2027. Volunteers say he has no criminal record to their knowledge and attended all his required immigration check-ins until phone troubles over the holidays caused some delays. She says she believes that's what started the whole situation. Well, tonight we investigated how the asylum process works and what are the grounds for deportation. KREM 2's chief journalist Amanda Rowley has more to this story tonight.
Seeking asylum in the U.S. involves more than proving fear of returning home. It also requires meeting strict legal and procedural rules. The Northwest Immigration Rights Project, a nonprofit based in Washington state, outlines how immigration court and asylum requirements work. The group says asylum seekers can still be detained or deported, even without a criminal record, because they say cases are often decided on procedure, not criminal history. Applicants must complete Form I-589 fully, answering every question and clearly explaining their fear of persecution based on race, religion, nationality, political opinion, or membership in a particular social group. Missing information can put a case at risk, according to the nonprofit. Federal immigration rules also state that failing to appear for a required asylum interview can lead to a case being dismissed unless there is an approved or documented reason. A dismissal does not mean immediate deportation, but it can clear the way for removal proceedings. There are also required fees, and failure to pay them can lead to immigration action. The nonprofit says immigration judges may, in some cases, deny asylum before a final hearing if procedural requirements aren't met. Applicants do have rights, including responding to government motions and appealing a decision within 30 days. Amanda Rowley, KREM 2 News.
For the second time this month, many in Minnesota are saying enough is enough after a Minneapolis resident was shot and killed by federal immigration agents. President Trump said today that he is sending one of his top border officials there to oversee operations now. The Department of Homeland Security is at odds with video of the deadly encounter, and we do want to warn viewers that video is disturbing. CBS's Lana Zach is in Minneapolis with details.
Say his name, Alex Preddy.
As mourners gather at the memorial for Alex Preddy, an intensive care nurse who was shot and killed by federal agents, Minnesota Governor Tim Walz and President Trump are trying to come to an agreement to dial back the intensity of Operation Metro Surge. According to the governor's office, the president says he will consider drawing down the number of federal agents in the Twin Cities and instruct the Department of Homeland Security to cooperate with the Minnesota Bureau of Criminal Apprehensions in their investigation into the death of Preddy. The 37-year-old was shot and killed by federal agents Saturday morning. Moments before, Preddy was seen holding his phone and arguing with officers. Shortly after, he was hit with chemical spray and tackled. An agent takes a gun from Preddy's waist, and the shooting begins 1 second later. Similar to the shooting of Renee Good, the Trump administration put the blame on Preddy.
He wasn't there to peacefully protest. He was there to perpetuate violence.
But those who knew him, including Father Harry Tatso, say he was known for his kindness.
So don't please pay any attention to the vilification from our national leaders.
Preddy's parents say their son began protesting after Good's killing and thought it was terrible seeing children taken by ICE agents.
He cared about people deeply, and he was very upset with what was happening in Minneapolis and throughout the United States.
President Trump is sending border czar Tom Homan to Minneapolis. Lana Zach, CBS News, Minneapolis.
Amid heightened tensions in Minnesota today, Washington Governor Bob Ferguson and Attorney General Nick Brown laid out how they are preparing for possible ICE activity here in Washington. Ferguson says he met with the Washington National Guard leadership over the weekend, but would not say what might trigger the Guard being activated. The governor did say at this time there's no indication federal immigration agents are heading to Washington. He also says legislation currently under debate in Olympia could help, including a bill barring law enforcement from wearing masks during most investigations.
We need to make a statement about this. That's not going to happen in Washington State, and we are certainly ready to defend that law if it's challenged by anybody.
That bill has passed out of committee. It could come up for floor debate in the Senate this week. It does have the support of the Speaker of the House, so it could make it to the governor's desk well before the end of this legislative session in March. Much more still to come on KREM 2 News at 5 tonight. Washington under a code red. Blood banks warn supplies are critically low, and they're urging donors to step up. But first, the Seahawks going back to the Super Bowl for the first time since 2015. How fans are reacting after the break.